Us automotive journalists are a spoiled bunch. Every other day we're riding and driving a new car or bike, and more often than not of the exotic kind. But every now and then, one such small motorcycle comes along that really bowls you over. One motorcycle for me in recent times was this Aprilia RS 457. I had a short stint with it on the racetrack and I was really amazed with just how nice this bike is. But riding it on track only answers so many questions. So now, finally, I have it here with me for a road test, and I'm going to see whether I'm just as impressed with it on the road as I was with it on the track. But before we do proceed, and before I do answer all those questions, if you did like this video, give us a thumbs up, share it with like-minded enthusiasts, and don't forget to smash that bell icon for all things thrill of riding. Now, Aprilias are really one of the brands that are out there when it comes to the desirability of a motorcycle, and it's not just because of the performance or the technology that they pack in the motorcycle. That also has a lot to do with the styling of the motorcycle, and to that end, this RS 457 is no different. Well, it really can't be, because it is based off of the RS 660, which is ultimately based off of the RS V4, and we all know the RS V4 is one of the most beautiful, most elegant looking superbikes out there. So on the styling front, this does look like a properly shrunken down version of that bike. It has all the design cues that suggest that this belongs to that family, and I really adore this motorcycle for the way it looks. It looks compact, it feels compact to sit on, but at the same time it feels substantial. It feels like you are riding a larger than its size bike, and to that end I really feel like they have nailed the design brief, because this maintains and this retains that aspirational quality that we all associate an Aprilia with. You have the same angry looking front end with those long DRLs that flank the headlight. That also merges very well with the fairing in general. You have a nice tall windscreen, you have the fairing that comes down to the side but still exposes this engine, which is the highlight of this motorcycle. I'll get to that in a bit. And you have a nice substantial racing bike like tank. You have a single seat for the passenger, a single seat for the pillion. This is split by design, and you have a nice tail lamp which resembles the Batman logo to an extent. You have an underbelly exhaust. There's no exhaust really hindering your view of this beautiful looking swing arm, and the rim design is also quite nice in my opinion. Now, what do you think about the design? I'm really curious to know, so let me know about that in the comment section down below. And one more thing I'd like to add is that Aprilia has made a great choice with the colors that you have on this motorcycle as well. The one I have here is called Racing Stripes, so it takes a lot of inspiration from their racing motorcycles, and all of the colors that they use for their racing team do have some space on the motorcycle over here. Then there's another color that's called Prismatic something, that'll be on the screen right now, but that is essentially a color changing paint that they use, and it reflects and refracts light in certain different ways that it makes it look purple in some cases, green in some cases, a stunning color. And then there's another crowd favorite, which is the white with the graphics. That again really looks amazing. So in terms of design, there's nothing to fault over here. Everything feels right, the proportions seem spot on, and the sense of riding a big bike really exists over here. So someone upgrading from a smaller bike will actually feel like they've taken a big jump in terms of what they have gone to if they do get this Aprilia RS 457. Taking center stage from the rider's point of view of the Aprilia RS 457 is this very bright, very vibrant TFT color screen. It houses all the information that you need. It has different layouts for the screen as well. You have a track mode, so that has your lap timer, your fastest speed and information like that. You, like I said, can adjust the different throttle maps, the different traction control maps using these buttons over here. Your modes are changed by this button over here. You also have the option to pair your smartphone for call notifications, for music notifications, and for navigation and all of that. So by all means, this is also a very modern bike in that regard, and the ride-by-wire system also works really well. Now, powering this Aprilia RS 457, as the name suggests, is a 457cc liquid-cooled parallel twin engine that has a 270-degree crank. Now, that 270-degree crank is crucial to the riding experience here, because it adds a whole lot of character. This doesn't feel like just any other boring parallel twin engine. It feels very characterful, it feels very angry, it feels very menacing, but at the same time, it has this split personality where it can be a really calm, really mellow, very easy to ride, gentle, easygoing motorcycle. So that 270-degree crank, I feel, really adds a whole lot of character to this engine, and most importantly, it makes it sound really nice. Let me just give you a quick sound check before I go on to talk about the rest of the performance of this motorcycle. Now that sound, it sounds really good. It's very mechanical, it is very big bike like, and at the same time it doesn't feel or sound obnoxious. It's not too loud. It sounds louder than a 450cc motorcycle should, but it's not obnoxiously loud. It's not like people are going to curse you as you ride past them at full speed. But at the same time, it's really fun to be on the bike when you're riding this, and especially when you make a couple of downshifts and you decelerate, it crackles and burbles, and all of those good noises are all present and accounted for. I really do enjoy how this bike sounds, but the sound is only one part of it. What is the bike like to ride? What is the engine performance like on the road? On the track, I said that this was great. It had great top-end performance. It's not something that you'd want to rev out to the red line and be there like a proper inline 4 which has a higher up power band, but at the same time it does enjoy going up to there every now and then. The mid-range performance is also great. So if you're in the corners and you're a gear too high, it's not like you need to make a quick downshift to compensate for the lack of power, because this does have a very healthy mid-range. But what is really baffling is just how good the low end is as well. I actually tried this and it does work. I started the bike at 4th gear on standstill. Now this is not because I don't know how to ride. I genuinely wanted to see whether or not this is actually that tractable. 4th gear, you just let the clutch, gently give it throttle, and it will start to go without really complaining too much. So that is just staggering. That means you can actually be at crawling speeds in 3rd gear. The engine is unstressed. You just open the gas, you get as much power as you need to pass traffic, and it's just really engaging, really amazing. It's actually baffling how Aprilia have managed to do this and have such a diverse power band, one that is strong in the low end, strong in the mid range, and pretty strong in the top end as well. In terms of heat, now this is a high compression, high performing engine. It does make 47 bhp and 43.5 Newton meters of torque. So if you have taken a look at the spec sheet of its rivals recently, you would know that this is at the top of that list in terms of the power and torque figures. So heat is bound to be there, and there is heat. The fan does come on every now and then, but it is not uncomfortable by any means. I'm wearing riding jeans, so it does get a little hot in there, but it's not like I'm going to go and have to reach for a first aid kit after a long ride on this bike. So the heat is contained and managed to a large extent, and with Pune being how hot it is right now, I don't really think that this is much of a problem in terms of heat. So overall, the riding experience, the engine, the way that the electronics are set up, this does have 3 ride modes, and each ride mode does actually affect the throttle map quite a bit. You also have 3 levels of traction control that you can adjust on the fly, and if you so choose to, if you do come to a standstill, you can even disengage ABS at the rear. So sport mode is of course where I like to keep it. If I want a mellower throttle response, eco mode does wonders, and if you're riding in the rain where traction is going to be questionable for the most part, you can just put it in rain mode and have a nice time there as well. And like I said, the chassis and the tires, they all really come together to really give you that safety net and that comfort of being on a bike that has your back. So overall, the riding experience on this Aprilia has been great so far. I really am interested to find out how this bike ages, because as of right now there are only positives and there are not many negatives to speak of. I do have one small niggle, and that's with the clutch bite point. No matter where you adjust the slack of the clutch with the adjuster, the bite point is pretty far out, and that's not something I'm used to on performance bikes like these. You expect the bite point to be a little closer to the grips than further away, but that is again something that you can get used to in no time whatsoever. So all in all, big thumbs up from me for the engine performance of this Aprilia RS 457. Now, with the performance section out of the way, let's talk about what this bike is like to sit on, what it is like to ride. Now, I'll sit on the bike quickly and I'll show you what the riding position is like. I'm 5'10". I'm flat-footing the bike very comfortably. In fact, I'm on a slightly uneven surface and my leg is going further down, but it's still comfortably flat-footed. If I put my leg up, you can see that it is slightly cramped. For taller riders will find the riding position, especially because of the foot pegs, a little cramped, but the sort of bike that this is, that's a really small compromise for the kind of handling that you're getting out of it. Now, in terms of your upper body, you're reaching to a wide and low clip-on handlebar, but I really like how wide it is because it gives you that much more leverage, making the sharper rake feel that much more sharper and overall increasing the agility of the entire riding experience that much more. Now, in terms of handling, there's not much left to say because we did ride it on track and we did get to experience exactly what this bike is capable of. And my God, this is a stunning handling motorcycle. It's really light, it's really nimble. You can drop it into a corner really well and pick it up when you want to. And the whole engine, the way the engine performs, it really supports the handling quality because, like I said, it's a very tractable motor. You open the throttle in any gear, wherever the revs are, this will find power and start to chug along really well. So the fact that the handling is aided by this engine, it makes really for a match made in heaven. Now, like I said, the handling is really nimble, it's really agile, but from living it with on a street point of view, I do have one small problem with it, but this is not an Aprilia problem, this is a supersport problem in general. Now the handlebar, while it does turn quite a bit, when you come to full lock, it just mashes your hand into the tank, so any control that you had over the throttle position in your regular riding position just goes away. So you have to take your hand off, readjust your control and then get out, and the same holds for the other side as well. That being said, the turning radius is quite good for a bike of this class, and even the narrower lanes, you don't need to make multiple point turns. In one, maybe with one correction, you can make a proper U-turn, so that is quite good. Now, like I said, 800 mm is the seat height, so this should be friendly for riders of most shapes and sizes, and at 175 kilos with a full tank of gas, that is 13 liters of fuel, this is quite a light bike as well. Now, moving it through city speeds and city traffic is not a problem whatsoever, and the lower seat height will also allow you to walk the bike should you need to in traffic. Now, one thing that has really impressed me, especially for the kind of motorcycle that this is the suspension setup. Now, you have a 41 mm upside down fork setup and a monoshock at the rear. You get 120 millimeters of travel at the front and 130 millimeters of travel at the rear. Now, while the numbers don't suggest that that's a lot of travel, the way that the suspension in itself is set up, it is really amazing just how pliant this motorcycle is. You have the sort of pliancy that you'd expect out of a very well-tuned, very sophisticated naked motorcycle. And that is further enhanced when you consider that this has preload adjustable suspension at the front and the rear. Preload adjustable rear suspension is not a new thing, most bikes get it, but having your front adjustable for preload is a big deal, and that really goes a long way in making the entire riding experience tailored to your weight. So set the preload and the already great suspension will work for your weight, so that is just phenomenal. Undulation, bad roads, potholes, speed breakers, it takes with a lot of sophistication, with a lot of composure. Now, I'm not saying this is the best suspension in the world, and I'm not even saying it is something like an ADV that you can just trundle over everything and go. No, this is not that. This is not meant to do that. But what it does do, it does really well, and you really don't need to baby it over bad roads. So that is something that just makes the entire living with the bike experience that much nicer. Now, one major complaint that I had with the Aprilia RS 457 on track was the brakes. I felt like they lacked the amount of bite I'd want from a bike that performs this way, and they fade very quickly. Now, on the road, of course, I'm not facing that much issue in terms of fade because you're never really going that fast, or you're never really braking that hard, that consistently in such a short duration of time that the brakes are going to fade. But the issue of not having enough bite, it remains. Now, Aprilia has given us this test bike with the adjustable lever that is part of the accessory list, and that does help in sort of controlling where the bite point is by adjusting the span to your hand size, and when you do start to feel fade, just start bringing it closer to you. So that does help alleviate that problem to an extent, but I don't feel like this is a fix. Now, Aprilia does also sell a sintered brake pad. It's part of their accessory list, so if you are buying this bike and if you are the sort of person that's going to ride this bike hard, because this bike is meant to be ridden hard, I suggest you shell out that extra money, get the sintered brake pad, get the adjustable lever, and that will just make the overall experience that much better, because then you can make full use of the entire chassis and the engine package that this bike has to offer, and that is a great package to begin with. Apart from that, in terms of living with the city, you need something that is comfortable. So the compromise with a supersport bike is that you are committing to a really aggressive riding stance, and it's no different over here. It's not as committed as a race bike, say something like the first gen RC390, but it's not really far off from that either. So being like this in traffic all day is going to be challenging, but the overall experience at the end of the day is rewarding. One thing I must add is that the seat is of a really good density. It's not too soft, it's not too stiff. So even after putting around 100 kilometers on the saddle today, I don't really have any sore spots or trouble points to complain of. So in that regard, I really feel like if you are willing to deal with the riding position, if you're willing to commit to that riding position, this should make for a good everyday bike. Now I know I said there's not much to cover about handling, but there's one more point I'd like to highlight. I know it really sounds like I'm gushing over the bike, but it is that good. The tires, the TVS Pro Torque Extreme tires that Aprilia has decided to fit on this as OE fitment are a great choice for a bike like these. These tires are exceptionally good on the track, and even on the road they do hold their own against its competitors. Wet performance is also pretty good, and that combined with the traction control system and the overall chassis experience, make sure that you're getting all of the power out of this to the floor in the right way. So that's great. Now I know this may seem like I am a full-on fanboy of this bike. Trust me, I'm trying to be as objective as possible. The RS457 is a real refreshing package in that sense. It offers everything you would expect from a bike of this class too. And then when you factor in the price, rupees 4.1 lakh at showroom, it may seem expensive at the face of it, but when you really consider the competition, now the KTM RC390 I'm not really considering it's due for a overhaul very soon, so we'll talk about that when that bike does actually come out. But in the parallel twin class of motorcycle, you have the R3, which is a significant 60,000 rupees more than this. You have the Ninja 500 because the 400 has been discontinued. Again, a significant chunk of money more than this. And when you consider how much power this makes, the sort of ride and handling package it offers, the features it gets, how modern it is, how modern it looks, and how aspiring it is on the whole, it's really hard to justify buying any other bike other than this. Of course, those bikes have their pros and cons, and we do intend to do a comparison test to really find out which emerges the king. But if you were on the fence about the Aprilia RS457, from all riding aspects, this is a sorted motorcycle. Now, one thing that does remain to be seen is just how good the service and dealership network is, because as of right now, if you're being honest, Aprilia doesn't have a great service network. It doesn't have a great dealership network as well. So unless Aprilia really grows exponentially on that department, it's going to be difficult for people to access this motorcycle. But Aprilia does say that they have plans to do that over the coming year or so. So when that does happen, I will be really happy and I will go out gladly and recommend this motorcycle to everyone. So if you do like this bike, go take a test ride, and I'm pretty sure you will like what this has to offer. So that's been it for this video. What do you think about the Aprilia RS457? Do let me know in the comment section down below, and as always, thank you for watching.